Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening. What a pleasure and honor it is to come back and to do night 3 of our webinar, Mastermind You or Maximind You. I have had such a great joy and privilege just to share with you over these last couple of nights about you, yourself, and your mind. And I realized in doing this mastermind class, there are some things about me that I've discovered. And I hope, and my prayer is that over the last 2 nights that you have discovered some things about yourself that you didn't know, or you looked at some things in your life that you know you need to do better or pay closer attention to. And that is one of the things that I realized is that no matter how challenging life gets, we have to learn how to focus on ourselves. Self-care is the best care that you can give yourself. And so on this night 3, we're going to just get right into it. This is our final session. In the month of December, I will be back again. We're going to delve into something really different, yet still connected with the mind. We will be launching our Think Tank podcast in December. So December is going to be full of information, knowledge, and empowerment to get you ready for 2023. I believe that 2023 is going to be phenomenal. I believe it's going to be impactful, but I believe it's going to be a year of change and a year of momentum. I believe that, a year of change and the year of momentum. So as we begin to go into day 3, I want you to remember this statement. You have the power to change how you think when you see the new reflection of who you want to become. You possess that power. Tonight's session is going to be this simply amazing. It's simply going to look at the last 2 nights. Wednesday night, we covered 2 steps. Gather means the stage is developing a disciplined thought life to increase your awareness of what you allow in your mind. So you're gathering in this stage. And then we moved on to stage number 2, which is focused reflection. Is once you gather awareness, which disciplines your thoughts to be careful of what goes into your brain, and then go deep and focus on your reflection. We don't focus a lot on reflecting. One of the things that we do a lot, we reflect in the month of December, preparing our minds for January, and getting ready for our vision board parties and getting ready for new vision. But we should be reflecting all year long. Your vision shouldn't just start in January. You should have a continual vision for your life. You should be reflecting daily about your life. You need to have a strategy and a plan about your life. Your life shouldn't just start in December and begin in January. You're going to finish in December and begin a new year in January. No, you need to start merging reflection and vision together and begin to look at it from the lens that I've got to look at my life from January to December. I want you to become your most authentic self. And you can only become your most authentic self when you reflect on who you are and who you want to become. So tonight we're going to look at 3 steps. Write, revisit, and the last one is active reach. Active reach. Step 3 is write, or to write. This is one of the hardest steps for a lot of people, but it's the most rewarding step. Writing is the genetic expression of your brain. Whenever you're writing what is in your mind, what is in your thoughts. When you write things down on paper or put them in your smart device, you are mirroring the process of your brain. In other words, what's in your mind, you're putting in your paper or you're putting in your iPad. But what I want you to kind of think about in this stage when you're writing, you're not always going to have to write. Writing can come in the form of a picture. So you can draw what you're thinking. You can write what you're thinking. But whatever you need to do, you need to switch your brain on so you can begin to put together what you want it to look like. Life is about change. Are you willing to change how you think so that you can become the person that God really created you to become? What does writing help me do? Habakkuk 2:2, it says, write down the vision. Make it plain on tablets. So he who may run with it reads it. What you are writing now only helps you, but it will help those who are connected to you. Let me read that again. Write down the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. What you are writing not only helps you, but it will also help those connected to you. How do I write my thoughts? The easiest way to write your thoughts is to journal. It can be done through words, or it can be done through pictures. Writing releases the creator on the inside of you. We all are creative in our own right. You may not be a Picasso. You may not be a Maya Angelou, but you have something inside of you that needs to be created. There's a thought, there's an idea that needs to be developed. When I wrote my first book, I released it in 2020. I started writing a year or two before I even wrote the book. And they were just thoughts. And I began to take the thoughts that I wrote and I began to put them in a more succinct and more strategic plan to put them in a book. I didn't have an order of how I wanted. I just started writing. And then after I wrote what I wanted, then I started piecing it together of how I wanted the book to flow. That's what your brain does. Your brain has to process what you're thinking. And then you got to categorize it in your brain where you want it to be. Have you ever encountered someone who seems like they're all over the place with their thoughts? It's like they're over here 1 minute, next minute they're over here, and nothing that they do or say ever comes together. It's because they've never taken the time to get still, to think about where do they see themselves going. And every idea and thought that comes to your mind does not mean it needs to be executed right now. There are some things you need to write down and leave it. I have so many ideas in my phone that I have yet to execute. I have book titles in my phone and notes I have yet to write. Because as the thoughts come to me, as the ideas come to me, if it's in the middle of the night or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the day, I put them in the note section in my phone because I know I'm going to have to go back to them one day. So I may not have access right there at that moment to a piece of paper, but I can put it in my phone and go back to it. But there has to be a strategic plan on how you write and how you gather what you're writing. Exodus 35, 30 through 33. This is where the creator comes. It says, see, the Lord has called my name, Bezalel, the son of Uri, and the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, as he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with skill, with intelligence, with knowledge, and with all craftsmanship, to devise artistic designs, to work in gold and silver and bronze, in cutting stones for setting, and in carving of wood, for work in every skilled craft. God had given him creativity with lots of material, but it says that he had given him the work for every skilled craft. God has given you a skill. He's given you a craft. The question tonight is, are you going to allow God to develop the skill and the craft that's on the inside of you for you to become the creator he's called you to become? God didn't call you just to exist. God called you for purpose. God has filled you with his spirit to write your thoughts, to release what is in your mind, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He's placed it on the inside of you for you to write it. If you can think it, then you can write it, then you can become it. Once you pour your thoughts out, then you sort them out. Once you pour your thoughts out, then you sort them out. There has to be a process. There has to be a plan on how you're going to do this. Step 4, once you gather, once you write, then you need to revisit what you gathered and what you've written. Revisiting what you have written will be a revealing process. You know, we've seen over the pandemic, we've seen gender reveals, we've seen party reveals, we've saw the verses of different artists. We saw all this stuff, and we were able to revisit the old and the new during the pandemic. So much so, it set a trend that now gender reveals have become this big thing. The verses has become a very new and upcoming thing. You know, we had American Idol, we had Sunday's Best, we had all these things, but since the pandemic, we didn't have those platforms. So we were able to use our social media platforms for those very things that we used to watch on TV. For the first time in history, we had the Grammys with nobody in the seats. We had the Dove Awards with nobody in the seats. We were able to do concerts with nobody in the seats, but they were able to bring it to the world through the platform of social media. So whenever you're going to revisit something, you got to look at it from the lens, who else is going to see this? Because your brain is the incubator for your thoughts and your creativity. After you gathered your awareness, focus on reflection, and your writing, you put your brain in a highly active, dynamic state of positive change. You become energized in your brain. This puts you in the perfect state to rewire your thought process. Whenever your brain is in a highly active, dynamic state of positive change, it excites your brain. You release endorphins in your brain that releases such an excitement that now you got a zeal and excitement to move to the next level. You get so excited so that you're ready to do it right then. But you have to allow yourself to rewire your brain to the point that, hey, now that I'm excited about where I'm going, and now that I'm excited about what I've written, now how do I pull this all together? So in order to rewire your brain, you are revisiting is wiring and what you want to change and what things you want to get rid of. So whenever you are revisiting something, you are revisiting and wiring and rewiring what you want to change and what things you want to get rid of. You get to design a new healthy thoughts and replace them with toxic thoughts. We all have toxic thoughts that we need to replace with healthy thoughts. And toxic thoughts are not always bad thoughts. It's just sometimes were raised to think a certain way. And we realize that as we gotten older, the things that we were taught were toxic to some degree, because we realized that we could do things a different way. But if you've been taught to do it the same way that your grandma did it, your mom did it, and now you're doing it, and then all of a sudden you're exposed to a whole new world that I can do things differently, then you realize, hey, I need to change how I'm thinking, because I want positive change in my life. So in this step of revisiting, it's all about reorganizing, recreating the specific thoughts you are working on. Not what you want to work on, but what you are working on. Renewing of your minds rewires the brain. Romans 12:2 says, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. You have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I love the movie Transformers. And the part that I love the most out of all the movies, at the end of the movies, he says, Autobots, roll out. I love it. After they've come to do their mission on Earth, he said, Autobots, roll out. God said it's time to roll out some new ideas. It's time for you to transform how you are thinking. You may not be Bumblebee in Transformers. You may not be Voltron, but whoever you want to transform in your mind, you've got to let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. This mind was created by God. So if you want to know how your mind is supposed to think, as I told you in day 2, you've got to go back to the Creator. He created your mind to think as he created to think. So whenever you allow yourself to go off the grid, and we all have done it, when you allow yourself to go off grid and off character, you realize that I'm not just thinking for now, but I'm thinking for my present. I'm thinking for my future. In revisiting, you evaluate and you work forward a little at a time. Don't try to jump all into it at one time and then try to do all your ideas in 1 week. It won't work. You're going to crash and burn real quick. You're going to realize that I made a mistake. Do it a little at a time. Visualize what you want the results to be. And you can get there in 21 days. Remember, we're talking about 21 days of detoxing your unhealthy thoughts and to replace them with healthy thoughts. Anything you do over a 21 period, it starts to become habit. But you don't really change the pattern of your brain. And I learned this in my mirror moment trip in Morocco. It takes 68 days really for your thought pattern to really get it, for change to really set it. It takes 68 days. I know they told us anything we do for 21 days become habit. It can become a habit, but in order for that habit or that idea to be very concrete and succinct, it will take you 68 days for that to happen. So 21 days is just a jump start. So then you got to keep doing that momentum for 68 days. It's just like we're getting ready to come upon a new year. Everybody's going to make New Year's resolutions. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm guilty. I bought a Peloton at the beginning of this year. That was my gift to myself for Christmas. I bought it. I've been on that Peloton 2 months, almost 12 months. I'm ashamed to say it. I had an idea. I'm going to get on it. I'm going to ride it. So I look at it. I'm looking at it right now here in my office. But I realized something that I told myself I didn't have time to do it. I put everything ahead of me, of my self-care, to do other things. So I've got to make a conscious decision that I'm not going to allow this expensive machine to sit in my office, but I've got to let myself, give myself time to do it. And I'm not going to wait till January to start. So I'm telling you that we all have a tendency to say, I'll wait to the beginning of the year to start up new. I want to challenge you. You can start new now. You can start new now. Rethink your reactions to information you receive in your brain and evaluate how toxic the thought is, and then rewrite it into a healthy and strong part of your memory library. We all have a memory library that we store things in. And sometimes we have to stop and think about, now, I remember saying that. I remember putting that over there, but I can't really remember the conversation. And then all of a sudden, something will trigger in your mind. Oh yeah, that's what I remember. And then that memory will come back. My granddad, growing up, he made fudge and he made biscuits. I'm not really a chocolate fan, but I can remember the fudge smell during the holidays and the biscuits. I can remember those because it was a unique smell. So every now and again, I will go places and I'll smell chocolate and it remind me of that, because I went back in my memory bank, in my memory library. I remember the smell of the chocolate. I remember the smell of the biscuits walking into the house. And he took pride in making fudge for us and the biscuits, and we love to eat it. So in my memory bank, the memory of, I visualize my granddad in the kitchen making fudge, making us biscuits. We're laughing and playing as children. I remember that. That was a memory. What is a memory in your mind that brought you happiness, that brought you joy? You need to find that in your memory library and let there be a starting point. That I want to get to a place that I can smile again. I can laugh again. I can dream again. I can believe again. God, whatever you're doing in my life in this season, God, I want to be in a place that my mind can be renewed and it can be transformed. And I can do this thing in a place that you created me to do it. God will give you the grace and the space to grow healthy thoughts in this season of your life. Let me say it again. He's going to give you the grace and the space to develop and to grow into healthy thoughts. That's what it's all about. Healthy living, healthy thoughts. Your most valuable organ in your body is your brain. When your brain activity stops functioning, it stops your body from functioning. When a lot of people have experienced TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, or they have experienced a concussion, or they've been declared brain dead, When the oxygen stops flowing to the brain, and they've been put on a machine, the machine is breathing for them. It's giving them what we call life support. And at some point, families have to make a decision to pull the plug. I want to make a challenge to you tonight. I need for you to pull the plug on your own self. Pull the plug and tell yourself, I'm no longer going to live on artificial air. But I'm going to use my brain to think the way you created. I'm no longer going to function from an artificial place, but I want to be authentic. I want to be the most authentic self I can become. Why? Because I was created for this. I was created to be a creator. I was created to be a thinker, to be a game changer, to be a revolutionary. I was created to be this, but I got to become it. I've got to think it, and I've got to stand on it. This is what I was created to become. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Let your mind guide you. Let your mind, let your conscience, let your mind be that wave that you ride out. I'm not a swimmer, but the one thing I realized that whenever you see a wave coming, if you watch surfers, they get adrenaline from the wave. And if they can get in the crevice of the wave, they can ride it out on their surfboard. That'll bring them in. They live for the wave. I want you to get yourself to a place that you can live for the wave. You can live for the high place. You can live for the place that God, I want to get there. I don't see it right now, but I want to get to that place, God, that I'm not thinking down here, but I need to elevate my thinking. And you need to tell yourself that in this next season of my life, every toxic thought, every toxic person, every toxic idea that does not value me as a person, in this season of my life, I need to cut them off. You need to pull the plug. Pull the plug from those people, places, and things that do not add value to who you are. There's value in you, and you are created for this. Your mind is just not an organ to exist, but it's there to be created. It was created for you to be creative. Use it the way God created it. More importantly, in this stage, you've got to uncover the toxic thoughts that create internal conflict in your mind. Your ultimate purpose is getting free in your mind. Free your mind and the rest will follow. When your mind is free, then you are free. You can think free, you can become free. And whatever that may have been weighing you down, God, show me what my next step is, because I want to be free. I want to be free. But God, it got to start in my mind. Matthew 6:25 instructs us not to worry about tomorrow. This lays out project management principles to getting rid of toxicity in your mind. If you discover you are a worrier, go back to Matthew 6 and allow the instruction of the word to guide you. It tells us in Matthew, he says, don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will take care of itself. But what I want you to do is to worry about the present. What can I change today that will affect my tomorrow? That will affect my future or my destiny? That's destiny created and connected to your mind. But you got to believe it. After you've gathered, after you've written, after you revisited, step 5, there's got to be an active reach. You're practicing all 5 steps: gathering, focus, reflection, writing, revisiting. Now we're into active reaching. Practice using healthy thoughts until it becomes an automated good habit. Some of us have our bills on automation. So they automatically come out of our bank account every month. That way I don't have to remind myself to pay my light bill or my gas bill, but it's on automation. When everything is on automation, you don't have to worry about, am I going to miss out on something? No, because automation, it is supposed to be on a sequence, on a time frame. And every now and again, you may get a letter or a notice. I got an email the other day on an automated payment that it didn't come out, but I forgot to update my new bank card. So it sent me a notice saying that we could not process your payment. And they could not process my payment because I did not put my new bank information, my new bank card in. So it reminded me. So your mind reminds you when you're running low, when your thought patterns begin to go below your expectation. There's an internal mechanism that should go off and say, burr, burr, like sound the alarm. You got to change. You got to change. Stop allowing people to dictate who you are. God created you to be a creator. Use your mind for that. Think on these things. James 6:20 says this: faith without works is dead. This is where faith manifests and you actually doing something with the detoxing that has been going on up until now. You reach further. I'll read that again. This is a step of activation that will lead you to manifestation. This is where your faith manifests and you actually do something with the detoxing that has been going on until now. You reach further. Some of you tonight need to reach, you need to stretch your mind. You need to stretch the elasticity of your mind and go beyond your own reach and say, God, I'm going out here on a limb. I don't see it, but God, I trust you to do it. I don't know how it's going to come together, but God, in my mind, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to believe it's done. And God, I thank you because you're showing me how to do it one step at a time. You can't reach it if you've not been through all the steps and complete the process. Then only then can you move forward. If you don't complete the steps and go through the process, you cannot move forward. An active reach is not just the decision to forgive. It is actual forgiving. It is not just the decision to believe that God heals. It is actually believing. It's not just the decision to stop worrying. It is trusting that you will make the right decision with God's help. How do I break down the toxic thoughts? Number one, talk about the gathering. So you take 1 to 2 minutes out of your day. And don't forget that the Holy Spirit will lead and guide you into all truth. That's John 6:13. So let him make the decision about what you need to renew your mind with. So in your gathering process. So number 2, in focused reflection, you're going to spend 1 or 2 minutes a day to loosen up the branches and allow yourself to expand and grow. Number 3, whenever you're writing 1 or 2 minutes a day, you're going to start shaking the branches. Your branches are extended. You're going to start shaking the branches. And everything on the branch that's not growing, that's dead, you're going to start writing and thinking forward because you need something to break off so that you can move. You in this season of your life, You need to get rid of some dead weight so that you can move forward to your next. Revisit what you wrote to build healthy thoughts. Number 4. You are breaking down and building up. And step 4, whenever you are revisiting what you wrote to build healthy thoughts, you are breaking down and you're building up. You are planning the solution to replace the problem. You're shifting the glue on the branches. Have you ever read into a maple tree? It's got sap on the tree. It feels like glue. Is very sticky. And when you begin to pull the bark off, it's a sticky glue. And that's some of the hardest, that sap is some of the hardest to get off your hands. You got to scrub and put glue, and you even had to put some oil on it to take it off. And you got to put some effort behind it to get that off of you. So in order to, you're shifting the glue on the branches. In other words, to move some things out the way. And there may be some stubborn things that you gotta physically pull apart and break off the branch for something new to grow. Your mind has to be renewed. Stop allowing people to tell you how to think, and allow the Lord to show you what to think. Stop allowing people to tell you how to think, and allow God to show you what to think. Number 5, take about 1 or 2 minutes. It's same step, breaking down the process. But here you are actually doing the active reaching. And this step strengthens the new branches. Because once you've broken things off, you cut back and you pruned away. Now it's time for you to grow new branches. Now it's time for you to spread your wings. Because now you got to a place in your life that now I can move in a place of success. You repeat these steps for 21 days over the next level of shifting your mind. Finally, you can say to the mountain, may you be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and it will happen. That's Mark 11, 22 and 23. May you be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and it will happen. I promise you, whenever you allow God to show you in your mind what you need to get rid of, who you need to get rid of, and then he begins to replace those toxic thoughts with good thoughts. And when you begin to break off bad habits and replace them with good habits, then you find yourself in a place that now I'm ready to move to the next level. But you got to endure the process. You want healing? Think yourself healed. You want a new life? Because the life that you're living now, you're miserable. See yourself in a new light. You need change around you. Begin to see yourself in a mindset of change. You've got to allow yourself and tell yourself, I'm not afraid to change because I want to move forward and be my most and my best authentic self in this season of my life. I'm done. I pray that the last 3 nights has been a blessing. I pray that you have been enlightened. I pray that the things that God is doing for you in your life, God is doing great and mighty things in this season. So no matter what it looks like, just know this. God's going to show you. He's going to teach you. He's going to reveal to you what you shall think. And more than anything, he's going to show you the people that you're supposed to be connected to in this season. We want manifestation and revelation in your mind. Let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Let your mind change and watch God change the things around you. I'm looking for change. I'm expecting change. More than anything, I believe in God for a changed mind and a changed heart. My purpose in life is far greater than where I am. So I'm going to move forward. I got to think on these things. And when you begin to think on whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are of good report, think on these things. And goodness and mercy, it shall follow you all the days of your life, that you will dwell with God. I thank you for your time tonight. I pray this has been a blessing. And if no one's told you today, let me be the first to tell you I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. In order to anything, I want you to live life and live life and live life on purpose. Have a blessed one. God bless you.